Alright, my dear friends, it's AK Rex here, and this time, of course, well, as much as I would rather hate to say it, but I've got a little situation here, a very interesting one at that, and it happened with somebody you might know. He is the lead artist of Saurian development team, and his name is RJ Palmer. On DeviantArt he's known as Arvalis, or however you pronounce that name. And we got into a bit of an argument, but I wouldn't say it was an argument. I just gave him, well, let's just say a certain response based on specific things. Now, what I'll do right here is I'll bring up the screenshot quickly of where he exchanges comments with this Victor Angel guy, and please pause to read it for a second, just to kind of get an idea of of what happened. Okay, so when you have read it, then unpause the video, and now let's look at this screen right here, and this is where I responded to him. Also pause the video if you need to read it, and specifically the point was really to do with the last, I presume it was the last two or the very last paragraph of my response. So if you don't mind paying extra attention to that one specifically, once you have read it, just press play and carry on. Okay? Now, here is his response to that comment. Also, once again, press pause the video. Once you are happy when you've read it, unpause the video. So, now that you have read his response, I have actually been meaning to respond to him as well for that particular part, but I couldn't because he blocked me immediately. He didn't even let me respond to anything he said. And in this case, I'm just making this response video directly to him. So if you're watching this, RJ, strongly advise you to pay very close attention, because this is quite important. And if you can't be bothered doing that, then I guess, well, you'll have to face the consequences eventually, one way or another. Anyways, so yes, RJ, it's really interesting, mate. All the previous responses that you got right there at the top, I honestly, I'm honestly pleased when I read this. I was pleased. Like it really looked like you have accepted that criticism very well, and you listed your, experts, consultants, whoever you were consulting with on the project, regarding, you admitted that yes, it's a good point that you should have included the credits. You also need to include the citations and everything, like basically all the things that I have listed. You seem to have agreed to it, which I'm really happy that you have accepted. I actually didn't expect that, to be honest, based on our previous encounters before. But I'm honestly very pleasantly surprised and awesome. Like, I was really happy with that. Now I read the next paragraph. Okay, fair enough. Like, I can see where you are going from. I mean, you said whatever, like this is basically, I could still argue with that point where he said that, yeah, there's a difference between keeping a dinosaur redesign a secret and then not showing a game, that is supposed to release in a month or something. Yes, I can understand that. I could still give some arguments to that, but that's really not the point, and it's really not that important, to be honest, at this point in time, because whatever it is, it's not going to change anything that's going to happen. So whatever is happening with Mesozoica at that point, it is going to be whatever it is, okay? Our arguments won't change anything, so I'm going to leave that. However, It's the last response, the last paragraph, that particularly right here, that got my attention. Now what I'm about to say here, my mate, is something quite important, and I suggest you really pay attention very closely to that if you want to somehow preserve whatever fraction of dignity that you have left. Now, first of all, I can say to you, my mate, that your mental gymnastics here are not going to work on me. That's just not gonna fly. The reason why I'm saying this is because you showed prejudice towards Victor by assuming that he was one of those, quote unquote. I will put the screen up on right here in front of you so you can see exactly what I'm referring to. And yeah, just based on his avatar he had on DeviantArt, which may or may not represent his real looks. So you've made that assumption. Also, another one, you said you referred to him as some kid because you mistakenly assumed that taking photographs of figures or whatever that he was doing was obviously a kid's thing to do. So that comment from you back there, up in the exchange of the comments in this whole line, was quite judgmental. He said that to you, you weaseled your way out of it, you kept just trying to get out of it, and it only made it worse though. And then I called you out on this, gave you a taste of your own medicine, and I provided some comparable examples, and put them in the quotation marks for demonstrative and referential purposes alone, in case you, of course, you haven't figured that out, that it wasn't supposed to be taken literally. It's like, you know, it was simply just an example. Like, how else do you explain what an example is? It's just an example of similar types of behavior that were pretty much comparable to what you did right there. You were judging the guy and making assumptions based on false information. So I took those examples and gave you the taste of your own medicine. You clearly didn't like that, did you? So why would you assume that Victor was gonna like that as well? And you haven't even apologized for it. But moving on, my main issue here is then you proceeded calling me a racist, a sexist, and a bigot, all in that small fraction of a paragraph. So in other words, my mate, what you've done, you have taken everything I have said out of the context and twisted it around. And of course, before I could respond, you decided that it was gonna be a smart quote-unquote move to block me. Which is why I'm making the response video, because there was no way I could respond to you directly and kept it maybe between us or between whoever was involved in that line of comments. But no, you decided to block me, and obviously you probably don't know me very well, clearly, that if somebody does something like that, I don't just leave it hanging out there. I'm not gonna leave this unaddressed and unresolved. So one way or another, I'm going to resolve this. The thing is, right now, it's gonna be a bad situation for you, my friend, you see? In fact, I don't know why I refer to you, my friend, because you're not my friend, actually. Anyway, so I can only think of two possible reasons why you did that. First potential reason means that you probably didn't read what I said carefully. Like, you literally just haven't read, you know, what I was saying. You just maybe skimmed through it or whatever, but you haven't actually read it properly. Or a second alternative reason, that you read it and you chose to respond the way you did, in which case you're probably the dumbest, biggest alive. That's probably, if that's the second case, that's probably what it is. Now, if it's the former, then I suggest you simply read what I said very carefully. Literally, sit down and read. If it's the latter, then, well, you have basically just discredited yourself in every way possible. Congratulations. And, well, I guess there I thought that after judging Victor and arrogantly disrespecting other artists, you know, and people, that you couldn't sink any lower. And I guess I was wrong about that. Apparently there is a way to sink lower, and here it is, example right here. So, yeah, like, your pathetic attempt at saving face by blocking me from viewing your content is quite, well, pathetic, least to say. However, may I just say that if you are neither of those cases that I have mentioned before, then I honestly think you should either at least try to back up your statements and give some pretty damn strong arguments behind them that can actually argue against mine, and they better be pretty damn good, just mind you, or apologize and retract them immediately. And in that case, if you choose the second option, I can maybe pretend this never happened. I won't promise, on behalf of Victor, because you would have to square it out with him personally. So I can't say anything on his behalf, whether he is going to let you go with that or not. But if you decide to take the second option, apologize for what you just did here, and retract it, then maybe, uppercase maybe, I could pretend that never ever happened in the future. And once again, before you choose to respond, if you do choose to respond at all, everything you say could be used against you. So choose your words very carefully, my mate. Honestly. I told you that before you responded, you didn't listen, and here's what you got. So if you don't want to embarrass yourself any further, then I suggest you do take that advice, and if you decide to respond, you respond in a proper manner and apologize for what you've said to Victor, and apologize for performing this idiotic mental gymnastics you did right here. And for my viewers now, that I'm done with the response itself, this is basically who is RJ Palmer. Meet him, the guy who is basically the lead artist of Saurian. And this is basically to answer all these questions that you guys have been sending me about why do I not support that project. And this is one of the reasons. It's because of this sort of attitude that it seems to be displayed, and I don't see anybody there in their leadership to actually, take it on a leash a little bit and just say, hey, look, you're a representative of our team, can you just behave, please? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I can understand some people say that, yeah, people from Mesozoica do this, Robert Fabiani does this, I've heard people making claims against him, but hey, I tell you what, when people came to Max about something, Max always steps in, he always sorts this out, and he knows how to kick ass, okay? He kicks ass and there's nothing happening ever. I haven't heard anything happening like that for a very long time after the last time something was reported and Max took care of it. I don't know what he said, I don't know what happened behind the curtains, I just know that he took care of business, and that's how it should be done. So whoever is the leader of this project, I strongly suggest you really have a good kind of adult grown-up man-to-man chat with this guy right here, because this is simply unacceptable. Seriously. I mean, this happened to me, and I don't mind. I mean, I can stand up to myself and I can continue roasting this duck for all I like. However, I know that there are many other times this happens. If you really want me to look, I can find quite a lot of examples. I can dig up quite a lot of stuff on this guy if I really wanted to, or if you want me to. But that's not the point. The point is I want this to stop, and the point is that artistic projects and things like that are supposed to bring people together, and this kind of attitude does not contribute to this purpose, and it only destroys it, it only shatters the community, it engages and promotes tribalism, and these are the things I don't accept and I don't like, and I do not want to have that here, personally. Like, if there's somebody here on this channel who follows this kind of, ideology, might as well leave right now, okay? I want people who want to understand the real deal. I want people who actually want to come together to make something good, to share their work, to accept criticism for what it is, to look at science the way it is as well, and dispassionately looking at the evidence. I want people who don't act arrogantly and disrespect others and trying to feed their own insecurities, who would rather confront them and work with them rather than having to, continuously feeding them and just bringing other people down, or attempting to at the very least, just so they can feel better about themselves. I don't want none of that attitude here, okay? Those of you who might have it, just so you hear me now, it's not gonna happen here. Now, RJ, my last probably word to you is, you better really think very hard what you're about to respond further if you are. And if you're not going to respond, at the very least learn your lesson from this encounter. And please know, next time you decide to do something like this, learn who you're dealing with. Seriously. I mean, you really didn't think I was gonna let that fly, did you? Come on, mate. Let's just be real here. If you wanna really do something good, then do something good and stop acting like the way you are, because you cannot simply do something good and expect people to respect you and, like you if you are acting like this. This is just immature, and trust me, I'm 33 years old, I already know what it's like when somebody comes to you and says, yeah, like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, I've done a portion of things as well that were wrong in many ways, and whenever confronted, and obviously the only way to go about it is to simply admit it, take up responsibility, apologize, be a man, own up to it. There's nothing wrong with that. So there you go. I hope you're gonna learn a thing or two from here. And if you're not, well, draw your own conclusions, my viewers. But anyway, this is basically RJ Palmer for you. And this is one of the reasons why I do not support their project. It's because of that sort of attitude being displayed from their team members. There we go. Thanks for watching. Sorry to take up any of your time. Apologies for my voice as well, as I have a bit of a sore throat right now. And I hope I will not have to focus on anything negative alike on my channel again. At least hopefully not in the nearest future. And I'm looking forward to bringing you more content. And just stay tuned. Once I hopefully get better, I could get some more things arranged for you. And we can definitely have some good times together. Take care, my viewers. Thanks for watching, and like, subscribe, and thumbs up.